It's no secret that Lily Evans and Severus Snape were close growing up, and even throughout their early years at Hogwarts, so we thought it would be interesting to discuss what would have happened if Lily had chosen Snape over James. Lily and Severus would have remained friends despite the strain on their friendship, with each of them being pulled in different directions by their house loyalties. Severus would have been unable to break his connection with the aspiring group of Death Eaters. Instead, he would try to keep his affiliation with the group a secret so as to not upset Lily. Eventually, their friendship would turn romantic, which would bring its own set of problems for the new couple. Severus would be harassed for being involved with the Muggle-born, while Lily's fellow Gryffindors would disown her for being involved with someone from Slytherin who was also involved in the dark arts. The embittered and jealous James Potter would have then made a point of bullying Severus in front of Lily, which would then drive a further wedge between them, as Snape would resent Lily for both witnessing his humiliation and for trying to help him, likely storming off in anger. Even with their differences, they would continue dating as the two genuinely cared for one another. If they ended up getting married, it is likely that the marriage would not have been a great success. Lily would have felt rejected by his coldness, and Severus would have felt as though she didn't understand him. This would ultimately lead Severus to feeling like a failure and turning back to the Death Eaters and the dark arts. Lily would eventually find out that Severus had yet again joined the dark side and be driven away. As the dark side became more prominent, Lily would eventually join the Order of the Phoenix and start fighting against the dark side. This is where she would be reunited with James Potter, but her loyalty for Severus would make her reluctant to pursue a relationship with him. However, Lily and Severus would continue to grow apart, especially given their vastly different ideologies. In the end, it is likely that Lily and Severus's relationship would not survive, and this would manifest in Severus having a deep bitterness for Lily, James, and the Order, resulting in him becoming the worst of the Death Eaters. Snape and Lily had a number of things in common that would have helped cement a romantic relationship. For a start, their love and loyalty for one another, even when they argue or question their relationship. Ultimately, it would be their vast differences that would tear them apart. They're two very different people, and more importantly, they don't see or understand the other clearly. They would probably get on each other's nerves. This would have been particularly evident with Severus's passion for the dark arts. Lily would not have understood it and pushed him away as a result. But it's also possible their loyalty to each other would cause them to both rethink their beliefs. We already know that Severus was different when he was with Lily, showing some kindness, love, and happiness that we don't see him portraying with anyone else. So it's possible that he could have completely dismissed his passion for the dark arts and become a better version of himself from Lily's influence. Now that we've discussed what their relationship could have looked like, let's discuss the consequences of such a dramatic shift in the story. With Lily and Severus in a relationship and even possibly married, it is very unlikely that there would ever be a Harry Potter. Instead, if they ever had a child, they would likely have gone into Slytherin house and become friends with Draco Malfoy, assuming of course that a child was born around the same time as the original timeline. With no Harry around, Voldemort would have gone after Neville, because he also fits the child described in the prophecy. If Neville's family was anything like Harry's, Voldemort would have likely have met the very same fate. This leads to three possible scenarios. The first is that Neville lives with his grandmother and becomes very egotistical because of the fame that comes along with being the boy who lived. The second is that he lives with his grandmother but is never told what happened until he becomes of age. Thirdly, for his protection he is taken away to somewhere in non-magical society until he becomes of age. Neville may have still been friends with Ron and Hermione, but the friendship wouldn't have been as strong as the one Harry had with them. Neville could have survived the Philosopher's Stone, while the events of the Chamber of Secrets and the Prisoner of Azkaban would likely have never happened. Without such a close relationship with Ron and Hermione, Neville may not have been able to track down all of the Horcruxes, especially without the help of Hermione, If this is the case, then Voldemort may not have been defeated, and the dark side may have been victorious. So Lily and Severus's relationship could have changed the entire story arc.